What is up guys, it's Syrum and welcome back to my channel. As you can see by the title of the video today, I'm bringing you the first AFL Evolution gameplay that is on my channel, and it's an exhibition match between Hawthorn and Melbourne, which is taking place this Sunday. Overall, I just wanted to give you my thoughts on the game, my take on it, the things I did like, the things I didn't like, and hopefully you guys can get a little bit of an understanding on where I stand when it comes to this game. What you've got to take into account is what you expect going into this game. Like, if you expect this to be like FIFA and on the quality of an EA game or something like that, then yeah, you're going to be disappointed. But if you expect this to be, in essence, what it actually is, and that's just a game developed by a small Australian studio, then you're going to be pretty happy and pretty satisfied with the fact that this is probably the best AFL game that we've ever had. Now, that's not saying that it doesn't have its flaws, but that is also not saying that it doesn't have its perks. There are a lot of upsides and a few downsides to this game. A big upside to this game is that it's probably the most free-flowing AFL game that I've ever played. AFL Live 1, while it was better than AFL Live 2 in terms of gameplay flow, it did lack in the fact that every time you got the ball you were tackled, and the amount of stoppages and congestion in that game didn't really sit right with me because I didn't feel like it was a proper reflection of AFL in real life. And then we moved on to AFL Live 2, which was a bit more of an arcade style approach to a footy game. Everything in that game kind of just drove me nuts, but the excitement factor was that it was new, but it did quickly lose that appeal. Now bringing us to AFL Evolution, and while there are still a lot of tackles, the ball tends to spill out a lot more than it did in other games. Now I believe that's really good in terms of the game flow because it keeps the ball moving, it keeps the game going. Add this to the fact that the advantage rule is pretty good, and you just have a continuous free-flowing gameplay, which is exactly what people want when they think of AFL video games. The advantage rule does have its downside in the fact that all you really have to do is take possession of the ball for it to be called advantage, and I don't think that's a good representation of how the advantage rule works, because sometimes you can pick up the ball but it's not to advantage and the game will deem it as so. So that isn't something that I'm a huge fan of, and I do hope they patch that or at least improve on that, because I've had a few times where the ball spilled out to me in defense and I've been quickly tackled, and that's not exactly advantage at all. Now aside from that, the game did take some getting used to at first, especially with the marking contests and spoiling and stuff like that. It did take me a couple of read-throughs of the game manual in order to realize what I was doing, because it felt like I was pressing a lot of buttons that weren't giving me the desired effect. But depending on how you look at it, it could be a good or a bad thing. I personally don't think it's a bad thing to have a little bit of a challenge, and if it had been just exactly like AFL Live and AFL Live 2 as far as the controls go, I probably would have gotten bored of it quite quickly. So it's cool to know that there's a lot of maneuvers in the game that are going to take some time before you can completely master that, especially the evasion, which seemed to be so overpowered, but it's actually quite difficult to get it done properly. Now, a little complaint that I do have, I was wondering if they were going to include the 50-meter penalties, and they have, but there is an issue where if you choose to swap players while your player is on the mark, and a lot of the time it does actually swap you to a player running past the mark, and then for some reason the umpire calls that as either entering the protected space or running over the mark, and you'll give away a 50-meter penalty just by pressing the change player button. That I really hope they do fix as well. That was really taking away from the whole experience. I think I gave away around 5 goals from 50-meter penalties that I didn't actually think that I was going to give away, but you know, aside from that, it isn't too bad. They have tried their best to include every single element of an AFL game, from the 50-meter penalties, you know, the dribble kicks. They've got everything in the game, so it does add to that overall realism and, you know, the sense of difficulty that you get from actually playing this game, and the fact that it is a challenge. That is refreshing, because a lot of the older AFL video games were a lot easier to master, and I think a lot of people got bored of that quite quickly. Now, another thing that I am a huge fan of, and it has to be the quarter time, half time, and three-quarter time huddles and cutscenes, where it shows the score, who's winning, who's trailing, and it shows the players walking off either a disappointed or, you know, be thrilled by the fact that they're up by whatever margin they're up by. And I think that that really does help bring the realism into the game, because that essentially is what you see in an AFL game. If a team is trailing, they're walking off shaking their heads. If they're doing well, then they're coming coming off, feeling satisfied with the amount of effort they've put in. So I really like the cutscenes. I'm not so much a fan of the instant replay, not the instant replay system. That's great. I love going back and looking at my goals, but the instant replays seem to kind of stem the flow of the game. So I've turned a lot of them off. I only really have replays for goals. I've turned them off for behinds. I've turned them off for marks and stuff like that, because it does hold up the game, and sometimes I want to play on, but since there's a replay, my player just kind of sits there for a little while and we have to watch the replay. So like I said, I did turn that off, but the instant replay system in itself, when you can choose to go back and see what you want to see, I think that's great. I think that's a great addition. They should never have dropped it in AFL Live 2. And as you just saw on the screen, another really good thing that I'm really enjoying is the curving of the A banana and the B check side kicks. Those are probably one of my favorite implementations in the game, along with the dribble kick. And I think it adds to that realism. That's pretty much what they've done here. Like, I know the gameplay system and the mechanics and all that aren't quite up to the scratch that FIFA is up to, but I didn't really expect that heading into the game, and since I didn't, I feel like I've become more able to accept the game for what it is, and that's not a bad AFL game by any means. Like, I've had a lot of fun. I've played a few online games now, and basically I'm enjoying it. Like, I don't have any real criticism about it. There are certain downsides to it, but overall I'm happy with the purchase that I made for this game, and I think it's going to give me endless hours of fun, which is good. Yeah, the players might not look 100% like they're meant to, but with the fact that both myself and Weirdo and a lot of other people in the community at the moment are doing player corrections and they are fixing up some of the players, I think we'll have a pretty decent looking game in no time. Like, yeah, there are the downsides to it, but if we as a community work hard enough, we can even overcome those, like, yeah, obviously the gameplay mechanics, that's not something that we're going to be able to fix ourselves, but if we speak up, I'm sure Wicked Witch will be happy to fix certain things. Like, I remember in AFL Live 2, when the game first came out, it was so difficult to kick a goal from anywhere outside 30 meters. Like, you had to get it right at the end of the power meter, and I remembered that was just so difficult every time. And even the play on feature in AFL Live 2 was broken at the start. Like, you wouldn't play on as quick as you wanted to, and by the time you did, the defender had already caught up to you and you were gone for holding the ball. So people did speak up about that. People did voice their opinion and tell Wicked Witch what they thought could be improved, and Wicked Witch listened. Like, Wicked Witch are making this game for us. They didn't really have to have another crack, but they have, and they've given us something that is a lot better than the game that we expected to be getting. So I'm not too upset about it. Even though the game does have its flaws, I'm still having so much fun with it. So if the game does get improved via, patches and gameplay updates and stuff like that, then I think that speaks volumes for the amount of fun we could potentially be having on this game in the coming however many years. So it doesn't seem bad at all. I know a lot of people have not enjoyed it as much as I have, and that's fair enough. Some people expect something better. I kind of knew what I was getting myself into when I purchased this game, and overall it's just, yeah, it's pretty much reached the expectation that I had set for it. And as you just saw, I just missed there, but I was so excited in the lead-up play where I saw Ben McAvoy step around a player like he was Gary Ablett, and just things like that just emphasizes how much this game is just filled with exciting moments and exciting things to do. And it's a good reflection of the game that we all love, and to be honest, yeah, I'm really happy with the way that it's turned out so far. I do have a complaint about the Be It Pro mode, with the fact that I seem to get benched every single time I make a run or anything like that, so that is kind of annoying. That is kind of irritating. I guess I probably should have expected it, with the fact that rotations are a lot more frequent in a game like AFL than it would be in a game like FIFA or soccer or whatever you guys would like to call it. But yeah, I wasn't that excited by the Be a Pro mode anyway. Like, the idea of working your way out from the TAC Cup, yeah, that's exciting, but all in all, I was just excited to have a new AFL game. I was excited to have, that next experience, because I've played every AFL game since AFL 99, and it's just, it brought me a lot of fun over the years. So I was just really happy to see that this game had been developed so well and had come a long way since the last game that we saw, and it has. Like, the only hindrance to it is the fact that people compare where FIFA was when AFL Live 2 came out and where that's gotten to, instead of just thinking about where AFL Live 2 was and where AFL Evolution is. And I think it really has come a long way. It's a lot more enjoyable to play. If I could request anything, it'd probably be more cutscenes at the end, because it's the same celebration every time. But, you know, that's just me nitpicking. That's just little things to add to the overall immersion of the game. But I'm just really happy with the way the game has turned out. If you had asked me a year ago if I thought that we would ever have a game like this for AFL, I probably would have said no, to be honest. But here we do, we have it now, and it's a lot of fun. So that's pretty much my thoughts on it. What do you guys think about it? Do you enjoy it? Do you not enjoy it? Feel free to let me know in the comments below. I would love to hear it. I'd love to hear what you guys agree with, what you disagree with, and all that jazz. That unfortunately does bring us to the end of the video today. If you enjoyed it, please remember to give the video a big thumbs up and interact with it in any way you can. I've already started my career mode, and footage of that should be up sometime soon. Hope you're all enjoying the game, and I will see you later.